Welcome back to Corporate Fuckery, the show that unpacks the cost of autopilot ambition and what it takes to really redefine success on your own terms. Today's guest, Christie Hoffman, better known online as Corporate Christie, is what happens when a marketing exec, a mom, and a full-blown spiritual awakening walk into the same boardroom. After years in corporate leadership, Christie did what most of us only daydream about during our 2 p.m. one-on-ones. She hit eject. What started as a meltdown became a breakthrough, a reclamation of her humor, her voice, and her healing. Now a speaker, author, and corporate comedian, Christie turns workplace chaos into comedy and burnout into boundary work. Her viral skits and practical frameworks remind leaders how to communicate better, lead with clarity, and stop glorifying exhaustion. And her book, The Family Cycle Breaker, goes even deeper, revealing how the same patterns that drain us at work often start at home, and how breaking those cycles can change everything. Christie is the kind of powerhouse woman that doesn't just walk away from dysfunction. She studies it, satires it, and then turns it into strategy for self-liberation. Her work invites us to laugh at the absurdity, heal what hurts, and remember that power doesn't have to look polished. It can be raw, honest, and gloriously human. So grab your coffee, your crystals, and maybe your HR rep, because today we're talking about burnout, boundaries, and becoming your own damn boss with the one and only Corporate Christie. Welcome, Christie. I appreciate your time. I had another podcast interview this week, and I was like, I really appreciate the women who have platforms, who are
Yeah.
willing to give time to support other women who are building their platform. So I just want to say thank you because I recognize your time and energy is very limited. So thank you for sharing it with me.
You know what? It's my pleasure. It's hard enough to be a woman, so the least we can do is support other women. We are way stronger together.
Amen.
Separated.
Amen. And I'm so glad you said that because that's really the essence of this entire season. Like, powerhouse women build longer tables. They see each other, they support each other. And there's not enough of that in corporate life.
Yeah.
Where are you dialing in from?
Austin, Texas.
I have some friends in Austin. How long
Friends
have
of
you
yours
lived
are
there for?
likely high quality, so hook me up because I'm going through a massive shedding season, and we could talk about the metaphysical stuff. I was nerding out
Oh,
a little hard on your show, but if you have high quality women in Austin, will you please introduce me to them?
fuck yeah, I will. So,
Great.
I'm so glad you started with the metaphysical because let's start
Oh yeah.
there.
I'm like a hippie corporate witch, okay? Like I had like 160 ego deaths in the last 18 months.
So I have this woman, she lives in Austin, and I think my Akashic record reader also lives in Austin. She has been quintessential to my life strategy. And I was thinking about it, as we were getting into this space this morning. I was like, these women that like work in the background of our lives and have worked in other people's lives. I don't mean to discount the men, but the metaphysical part is really introducing that into your life is really about the destiny and purpose part to me. And my Akashic record reader is like, no, Lauren, you got to go back to corporate America. Like, no, Lauren, like this is planned for you. Go figure it out and make it work. And without those bits of coaching, like I would have never done it. Like my conscious mind would have told me to stay broke and poor and whatever. Like, and so here I am, and I attribute a lot of my success to being supported energetically and metaphysically.
I had the same experience where, we can get into it if we want, but I had too long didn't read. I had a corporate meltdown. My life was falling apart to come together. I was going through a divorce and I was like, I don't want to touch corporate ever again. And I had a very healing psychedelic experience where I was told by the entities who love us so much, they said, no, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Your gift is that you went through all of that so that you can create frameworks and talk about what's broken, and you will speak on big stages, and you will have so much fun going back to corporate because you will be your own boss and you will be telling the bosses why what they're doing isn't working. And they're going to take you very seriously. So like go back. But similar to you, we are
Very
back in
similar.
corporate talking about how to fix corporate.
Yeah. And I don't even know at this moment if it's like fix corporate, right? Like, because yesterday's guest that I had on, she's like, it's imploding from the inside out and there's not much that we can do. And the whole Starbucks thing is like 100% the poster child of corporate fuckery that's going on, and like, it's very near and dear to I live across the water from where Starbucks headquarters is, so, like, I don't get to go to the roastery anymore. I don't really support Starbucks anyway, but, it is one of those Seattle icon locations and has been for a long time, and it's
What
really
happened?
sad.
Because I
Oh, you
don't
didn't
watch
hear?
the news. I'm so in my healing journey. I don't talk to anyone. I don't
I don't
watch
watch the
anything.
news either. Yeah, so the Chipotle CEO, he is the highest paid CEO in the history of CEOs, $98 million
You
a
what?
year. Mhm. Was being flown on a private jet up and down the West Coast from San Francisco to Seattle, probably 6 months ago, right? So we both know, because 'cause we've been around the block enough times, that, like, new leadership comes in and you have 6 solid months until shit's gonna go off the rails and change. If you're lucky. So he ends up closing both roasteries, which are here in Seattle, which I don't know if you know, but that's like the staple, like
Right.
that's the pinnacle of what Starbucks experience was. Like, it was beautiful. It was a lovely place to go down by corporate headquarters, specifically on First Avenue in Seattle. I have gone there for years, and they laid off 900 people. Now, 900 isn't a ton, but the lot of the word on the street and social media streets is that people were trying to unionize because they were tired of the work environment. And so part of the claim is that they did it because they didn't want those employees to unionize. So
Well,
900 more people without jobs in this
and it's
area.
like you're right, 900 doesn't sound like a big number, but if we add the spouses and children who are affected by people losing that mainstream of income and the stress in those households and
Yeah.
the triggered trauma responses of those unhealed parents and how this is going to affect children who will grow up, the it's not just 900 people, it's like way way more than that.
Yeah. That was one of my biggest aha moments in my leaving Nordstrom journey, was the ripple effect of these choices and what we do to people's emotional and identity states is never talked about, and the impact is great. The impact is great on them and everyone around them.
That might even be the perfect segue,
Yeah.
which is what led me to leaving corporate was my third acquisition of my career, and it was so
Mm,
sloppy, and
mhm.
people were getting fired who were very good at what they did. As you smash up 2 companies together, you have redundancies, but the key players on our smaller organization were getting booted, but these were, like, very, very important people who were excellent at their craft.
Yeah.
And the shock and the stress and the drama of losing friends, but also what are we going to do now that we don't have our main engineer and our mobile app developer and our VP of marketing? What do you what? And the all hands slides were written in French, but they were being spoken in English and they wouldn't give it. And I remember raising my hand and saying, this would be a very simple thing to solve. This is a very expensive meeting for half of the
Mhm.
company to not know what you're saying. You're
Mhm.
assuming everybody's an auditory learner. I am not. And they said they couldn't afford it. And the meetings had like 40 people in them. We didn't know what we were launching. Nobody knew what they were talking about. Nobody could find anything. And I was like, I'm too smart. And I love myself finally enough to say, I don't know what's next, but I just have to get out of this and just hit eject without a plan, which I know you did too.
I did, and it was the scariest shit I ever did in my life, but I had so much peace in that decision. Like, I had so much peace in knowing that the universe was gonna have my back, and I didn't even believe in the universe then. Like,
Yeah.
not even a little bit. I was not wooey, I had no idea. I had an intuition that now is, like, my superpower that I lead with. So, tell us about your powerhouse journey, and then I would love to understand a little bit about your corporate witchery and
Yeah.
metaphysical side, because that, like, I mean, I got that hit pretty strong this morning that
Yeah.
that was part of our day.
Yeah. It's been a wild couple of years. So stop
Mhm.
me at any point if you want to dig into
Yeah, no, go, let's go.
TikTok. We'll just start with the opening statement of TikTok saved my life. About about 5 years ago, I saw a TikTok about abuse in marriages, and it was a woman who just shut the door. She didn't say anything. She shut the door and she locked it. And the caption just said, "You're safe now. If
Mm.
this resonated, you might be getting abused." And I was like, "Oh my God." And so I that was the first time I tried psychedelic therapy. I knew that it was this big dark secret that I was in a very scary marriage on every level. financially, physically, emotionally. There was a lot of addiction in the marriage. I have people pleasing tendencies, and I had an alcoholic mother and a very scary father. So I married both of them. You marry your karmic childhood traumatic lesson if you don't figure that out in
You
time.
sure do. As
Most
somebody
people
that's been
don't
married
know.
for 20 years, you
Yep.
sure do.
So a 10-year marriage, 10 minutes into this journey, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm being abused. I need to get out of this marriage now." And immediately filed for divorce. I have 2 beautiful children, so I also knew I was going to be putting them through a lot. I think that's why I stayed for so long. I thought I could save this. I don't try to save addicts and alcoholics anymore. Fast forward, once you stand up for yourself and start setting boundaries, you realize how many other people liked the old version of you that was very easy to manipulate and very easy to control.
Yes.
Therefore, I had to also fire my mother, my father, my brother, my other living brother, passed of addiction. He died by suicide. I was just going through this like boom, 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 making major life decisions. Things kept happening. And I went through this exercise where I found my values, and I now use that as a framework to make
Yes.
decisions. And so I started losing friends who were cheaters, who were maybe not a growth mindset, who were judging my experiences with psychedelics, telling me that I'm on drugs and ignoring any claim I made of the research of how much this helps with complex PTSD. So shaking off friendships and just like me and my kids, just like barreling forward, trusting myself. And I went deep into childhood trauma
Hmm.
and read the book Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving, and was able to
Oh,
pinpoint my self sabotage, my avoidance, my neglecting of my health, went hard at the gym. I just, and I started to have this glow up. I started to really spend time with myself. And at first it was lonely and scary. I was very codependent.
hmm.
I realized I needed to go through this wormhole, this pain of learning to love myself. Otherwise, I was never going to attract a future partner who would love me properly, which is
Yes.
important for my children to see and for me to get to experience. Um,
Yes.
and I started journaling. I started journaling 3 pages a day and really got to know myself. The shadow work journal is another one that I like to plug that helped me a ton.
I love
And
that.
through this like higher self concept, I always had my crystals. I always had a curiosity about the chakras,
Hmm.
and quitting corporate gave me a chance to. I was building other stuff. I'm a high performer at heart, so it's not like I was sitting on my hands, but I had a
Right.
chance to learn about the map of human consciousness by David Hawkins.
Yes.
I do my Joe Dispenza meditations twice a day. I
Yes.
started going deep into, vibrations and manifestation. And,
Hmm.
it's like I had to blow everything up because everything was making me sick and tired and exhausted. And I have a TikTok where I show what I looked like when I was married and what I look like now. And it's still going viral. People are like, "Holy shit, you look like 2 completely different people." And I'm like, "But they're both me." One is the version of me, I kiss her feet that she got me here. She was being abused. This
Hmm.
version, she would never tolerate anyone speaking to her or treating her a certain way. And she has no problem, even if it's her own blood, saying, "You can't treat me this
I'm
way."
out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So, first of all, both of them are powerhouse women, which I love and I admire, right? Because they have both found a different level of what their power means to them. So, I celebrate every shift and change you went through because my journey was very, 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 very similar. I lost 100 pounds in the last 2 years. That was part of my physical. But before that, I went through all the energetic stuff of it sounds like very similar understanding the frequency. And that's a lot of what I teach my clients is just finding energetic neutrality because a lot of us try and just bypass a lot of shit, right? And just go to like, well, we just want to be happy. And in this work to become this sovereign part of yourself, I believe you have to like learn how to create that part that has
Yes.
actually never existed before.
Yes. And starting to act like the version of yourself before you become it. You need to,
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. He's a meditation, I don't want to say guru, but like
You can call him a guru.
and
Yeah.
he has tons of research to back it up. So I'm not just going to say he's some guy online. He is very well vetted and he has a ton of
Yes.
success stories. But He has helped me a lot to feel and embody my future success in order to call it in. And in order to retrain my nervous system, you talk about this a lot on your show, to not be scared of success. I think initially my first year of entrepreneurship, when stuff started to work, I got scared and I'd get avoidant and I would doom scroll and plan my content, which was really just me hiding and pushing away my gifts. And I've now since been able to more quickly catch when I'm feeling out of control or feeling scared. And I'm able to check in with myself. And I've got my inner child and my higher self, and we all sit down and we all, my inner child's like, I'm hungry. You haven't fed me today. I'm tired. I don't want to work. And my higher self is like, we need to take better care of you. We're sorry. She takes accountability. And then I'm in the middle, like going like this, like I love you guys. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I wish we would have done it 36 years ago. We didn't know how, but we, having
But I celebrate it that you learned it on your own, right? It doesn't sound
yeah.
like you had the support system to model that for you. And when we are cycle breakers, like I am, and we can go into that a little here, I don't really talk about it and have it online, but I'm happy to here because there was another big shift in my personal life just yesterday. It takes a lot of courage to choose to cut off energy that isn't for you, especially family of origin. And I think it's similar structure to corporate fuckery where it is a known entity and it is socially normalized that this is the structure and this is how everything's supposed to go, and you should be grateful for your job and all the things. And it's kind of the same mirror with the family unit. It's like you can't do that to your dad, or you shouldn't do that to blah blah blah, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter. But in reality, when it comes into tapping into your own power, those external forces, including your own career and the career path that you have been addicted to creating for yourself and the success that you have been trying to chase in many cases, doesn't actually fill up the version of you. You talk about it as future self, and I use that as well. Like future self doesn't subscribe to these models. And so the work is really then to figure out the delta between where you're at and how they do
Yes.
function so that you can start letting go of some of these very difficult structures and ingrained experiences and expectations and really binds so that you can move on to that next version of you.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
And I've heard you talk about this on your show too. There is a physical process of rewiring your brain. Like it's exhausting. You get tired when your dopamine is shot. When your
Yeah.
brain is so used to telling you the story on loop. I only have value if I'm doing something. I only have value if I'm productive and achieving. I only have value if I'm beautiful and fantastic, but also people also hate me for being beautiful. This is confusing.
Yeah.
To catch those stories, sit with them, rewire them, tell yourself new stories, and do that on a repetitive level because it takes many, many times of catching it to really rewire it properly. I had to take a lot of naps. And I grew up in a family where rest was shameful. And I was married to someone who would kind of sleep torture me, not be, supportive of when I was pregnant. And then when I needed to rest, would call me lazy if I needed to sleep, would wake me up and say, what are you doing when I was sick and sleeping? It's like, what does it look like I'm doing? And I would have moments of standing up for myself, and that person would get scary. So I'm alone in my home with my children, but sometimes I still feel like someone's coming to get me.
Yeah.
And so learning to like slow down, less is more, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and just give myself some grace because as much of a rapid transformation as I just painted, I had days where I was crying on the floor, looking at the carpet fibers, questioning if I even belong on this earth, like having those scary
I don't mean to laugh,
like
but yes, it's like the
it,
scary thoughts and like, oh my God, what did I'm like, I shit the bed of life. It's never going back. I will never be happy again. That's kind
yeah.
of to the point where I got.
Yes, I remember hearing you say that part and
Yeah.
those thoughts that you never thought you'd think, and they're
Nope.
scary and they get loud and they're like, "You can't come back from this. What have you done?
Hmm.
Really? You thought you could do this on your own and stand up for yourself? You have really
Yeah.
failed yourself, your children." And that's when I sage the shit out of the house and pull out my tarot cards and start
Yeah.
journaling.
You're like, I'm just gonna like let the energy
Yeah.
go. And yeah.
I will say out loud very sternly. Those voices don't come in as much, but
Mhm.
back then I used to like demand that energy leave the house. I don't know if it was mine. I don't think it was. I still believe in angels and demons. I'm not religious. I'm much more spiritual in nature. I was very religious as a child. There's a little trauma there too, but I felt something move and leave when I would do that. It was like a
Mm-hmm.
heaviness. I would open windows, sage the house, put salt down, get out all my selenite and like cover I have my moldavite. I'm not wearing it right now.
Yeah.
Like, you stay away from me, whoever you
Yeah.
are. How dare you interrupt my healing process?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We bought this 100-year-old house outside of Seattle. And again, corporate Lauren was like, it's the same commute into downtown Seattle. I was working at Nordstrom at the time. It's the same commute. Really old house. We had a newer build in West Seattle where we lived. And I walked into this house. We did this move completely on a whim. Walked into this house and I was like, this house feels good. What is that? This house
Wow.
feels so good. And it was like a circus tent on the inside. These people had zero understanding of what aesthetic looked like. And I had a vision, like I had a very clear vision. And my poor husband was like, I have no idea what you think you're doing, but I'll sign my name somewhere. Sure. So we buy this house. 6 months later, I rage quit Nordstrom. We had torn the whole thing apart. Still felt good. Like the energy here has still always felt good. Come to find out, it's a house of 8. Now, I'm sure that many people listening to this might not know a lot about numerology, but 8
Mm.
has to do, and I always attribute it back to the zodiac because of my background in astrology. 8 has to do with karmic cycles. And like this house, she is here to show me like what I'm actually really. And so it's very interesting that I experienced this whole transformation in these walls that I was so initially attracted to.
Mhm.
And when you think about your space and you think about the energy in your space, like it is part of what creates that safety that I think a lot of us powerhouse women are actually really craving. So I'll transition us kind of to a different topic here. But I think it's really interesting to talk about protecting your energy and protecting your peace because many powerhouse women on the journey of finding themselves burnt out or finding themselves in a season of life where they're like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't know how I got here, are like, how do I actually create that safety? And for me, it
Mhm.
was part of the house. Like she
Mhm.
was part of the safety.
Mhm. And my version of that, I love numerology too. You and I have so much in common. Anytime I was making a major life choice, because you just heard me say I cut out so many people. I mean, I ended 50 relationships in the
Ooh,
last like 3 years, 4 years. But anytime I was handling the grief or like driving, it's always driving in the car where you're just like, what am I doing? Am I on the right path? Am I the toxic one? Am I the narcissist? I would see 444, 1111,
yeah.
$77.77. And so
Yeah.
I got a little like spiritually
OCD.
little psychosis
Yeah.
maybe. And I love this book. This is the Project 369 journal.
Yes. I have a
And
couple
they've got
clients
this
who have that
like,
book. Hmm.
I turned my whole master bedroom wall, because I'm healing, I don't need decor yet, into a chalkboard. And I would write all my manifestations on it. And I wrote down all the angel signs so that I've memorized them since. But like, it has never stopped to like just make me smile. And I always say thank you out loud when I see it on a license plate, on a billboard.
Yep.
Say thank you out loud because it always hits me when I'm telling myself a negative story.
Yep.
And I see the number and I'm like, abundance is on the way. We're good.
Yep.
Or,
Yep.
you're on the
I'm
right path.
safe.
Yeah.
It's good. Let's talk a little bit about cutting people out of your life, if you're cool with that, because I
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of like rage quitting your job, right? The first time is
Mhm.
the scariest. And then after you get through that turmoil, you're like, oh, I could do this. I'm not scared to blow up anything ever again,
Yeah.
personally. I don't know how you feel, but there's not much that I feel like can actually break me at this point in my life. I'm not inviting any of that energy in by any stretch of the imagination. But I think what a lot of powerhouse women struggle with who are looking to really own their value and their understanding of sense of self, is that they can't let go of what they have.
Mm.
That even though it feels like that things are built on a house of cards or their version of that, removing themselves feels traumatic. So
Mhm.
what's your take on that, given the fact that, again, if we think of these structures like our houses and our families, like corporate life, like they're all kind of similar in the dynamic of social expectations.
Mhm. I have a new rule and a new understanding that gives me peace with all of it, makes it easy. I don't even have to think about it anymore. My number one rule for life that I also teach my children is nobody can tell you that your feelings are wrong or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads into Darvo responses. So when you tell someone, hey, like when you're late all the time, it makes me feel kind of bad. Like I was here, can you try to be on time? Or, hey, that thing you said in front of everyone, that kind of embarrassed me. I didn't like that. When someone says, and it doesn't matter even if it's your spouse, when someone says, oh, I didn't mean it that way, or don't be so sensitive, or that didn't even, my mom loved this one. Like that never happened. DARVO stands for deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender. So it's how you end up apologizing like I used to after someone did you wrong. And in my marriage, this happened a lot. So when you try to say and set a boundary, hey, I didn't like that. If anyone says anything other than, oh my gosh, tell me everything, like I'm really sorry. If they don't own it and get very curious about how to avoid it in the future, they don't deserve to have a seat at your table. And my new understanding when this happens is if your life experience is a big table, like think of the feast with Jesus, it could have like
Yeah.
100 people at it,
Yeah.
right? Right now, I'm in a season where nobody's at my table and I'm just kind of sitting hanging out by myself. But if you don't clear out space for higher quality connections and people who truly are rooting for you and want to see you win and will be there with you on your darkest days and celebrating with you without envy on your best days, those people can't come in if a bunch of losers and schmucks are sitting at your table with bad manners and like eating all the food and like leaving nothing for you.
100%.
You have to trust that process. And it's scary, but like what's scarier? You know, choose your hard is something I say a lot. It's hard to end these relationships, but it's also hard to stay in them and they keep me behind. So I choose my
Yeah.
every day.
It is about choosing your hard, and I compare it to the boardroom of life and business, right? Like you're sitting at the boardroom and you're the chief emotional officer or whatever you want to call yourself, and you're the one making the decisions. And for a lot of the women that I feel like I'm in this life to serve and support, like they're looking to create the bigger, richer, bolder version of themselves that, there's only a certain percentage of us, Christie, that are actually going to take the journey that it sounds like we both have been on. And that's not to be disrespectful to anyone that isn't curious or like doesn't feel like they figured it out. I believe that all of us have the capacity to figure that out if we're willing to put in the work, if we're willing to take the scary steps. And it, some of us do it from a place of crisis and survival. For me, that's what a lot of that was. Speaking kind of back to the family structure. And even I think, when we talk about corporate America, like you can't hold your coworkers accountable for their shitty feelings and their shitty behavior. Like they're going to do what they're going to do. And unfortunately, that carves out in the corporate structure and dynamic like your own trauma response. Like I'm a big believer that everybody's carrying their trauma response through the hallways of corporate life and nobody's actually talking about it.
Like the guy with the $98 million salary who thinks that that's okay. Like, duh, he must have been so neglected as a child or pushed so hard. That is his way of feeling seen, saying, I told you so. Look at me. Meanwhile, there's a trail of metaphorical dead bodies behind him because he hasn't reconciled what happened to him as a child.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And when you find yourselves in those situations and you're having to make the hard truth, like I am always here to be like, make the hard leap, do the thing, it will work out. Like I didn't believe in anything. And yeah, it was tough. I'm not going to say it wasn't tough. Like I'm not saying you're not going to set yourself up for a really hard conversation. I think you called it a wormhole. And I love that because it is like that whole like, oh my God, where am I going? What am I doing? What end is up? But the powerhouse women are the ones that are going to survive it.
Yes, and I'll just say there was a version of me who wasn't ready. In survival mode with a newborn and a toddler married to an alcoholic, I wasn't ready to get divorced. I had to get my son potty trained so that he could speak English enough to know that mommy wasn't going away forever. Like we do share custody still. So when you're ready, you're ready. But also, you're never going to be ready. So when you're ready enough, go through the wormhole because the universe rewards action. You don't get to know what happens 17 steps ahead. So don't get stuck like, well, where am I going to live? Who will I be married to one day? Whether it's divorce or quitting a job, where am I going to work? How am I going to make money? You don't get to know that information. This is like a Matrix video game that's super adorable and actually very easy to play.
I love that analogy.
Take Take a step forward and a new rock will light up for you to step on. It's scary because you don't know what's around you and it feels like you're going to fall. Take another step, another one will appear. Choose yourself, and I swear you've experienced this too. You're having success with this show. It's a wonderful show that's already helping me and transforming lives. You have people writing in. You didn't know what this was going to look like. You just started.
I just started. Yeah.
And you have to get out of toxic situations and away from toxic people to think clearly enough to even figure out what your one next step is. Like people say, like, I can't get divorced. I don't know. La, 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 la. I don't know. And you just got to get away from them. That's step one. That's when the universe will reward you with what's next.
Amen to all the things. And I have started probably about 3 years ago using my future self as my ultimate guru. She has done everything and accomplished everything that I desire. And when I think about the industry that I'm in of coaching and success and life and subconscious reprogramming, and you think about using her as your guide instead of somebody that you're just trying to go find an answer from, like the whole conversation changes.
Yeah.
And to me, like even in the corporate setting, the same can be true. Like it's never going to stay the same. Your life is never going to stay in this beautiful little box that you think it's in, whether it's tattered and torn or whether it's exactly what you feel like you've created. I feel like it's the former, given the context of the show here. But I want a lot of powerhouse women to know that they've already created a beautiful life. Like they've already done it. And in fact, it probably looks amazing on a Christmas card or on social media. And what they're actually really craving is that magical part that you just alluded to of like, because they're seeing it in other women, right? They're seeing it in women like us that they're like, I want what she has. But it's like, that's in you too. Because you can see it in us, it lives in you too.
Yeah.
And it is the practice of stepping into that trust that you and future you know best to move you from where you're at to where you desire to be. And you can't let your conscious mind get so wrapped up in trying to solve and logic all the problems. That's that high achiever trauma response of I have to control A to Z in order for this to work out. It's actually surrendering that control that gives you the magic that you're looking for.
100%, Lauren. You want it so bad because future you already has it. So just ease into going to go get it.
Yeah. And this is where subconscious change work and the Joe Dispenza part of life like really changed what's possible for me. And why I do the work that I do is because your model of the world is what actually creates what's possible for you. And at the subconscious level, when you can get in there and make the change without having to relive all the trauma, because as you know, Christy, like you don't want to go through all the things again. Like you don't want to go like you're going to therapy and talking it out for the 14th time and feeling the same way at the end of the session. The subconscious work is actually where those upgrades can feel really natural. Christy, tell us who Corporate Christie is and how you infuse her in all the work that you do with corporations.
Corporate Christie is my higher self. She doesn't tolerate BS. Corporate Christie is a persona I created to survive many years ago, and now it's become my business that I use satire to educate people on why corporate's busted, but it's expanded into why your marriage is busted, why your mom is a jerk and you got to get away from her, how to heal your inner child and it's become like a healing persona. Like she does not care whose feelings she hurts because she puts herself first. So you can find a lot of my thought leadership on TikTok actually, but LinkedIn is starting to be more, I'm very corporate focused, but I'm also talking about, hey, if your marriage is falling to shit, you're not alone. It's okay. Mine did too. Yeah. What really led to all of this is I used to host an HR podcast called Flip Flops and People Ops. So if you work in HR, that's something you'd really enjoy. And what's funny is I had no HR background. I was the disengaged employee, and I convinced this company to let me host this show. And now I host Corporate Christie, which I've used all my knowledge and research. I became obsessed with why does work suck and leaned really hard into Gallup and all this data and my own lived experience to create my own frameworks, which are available on my website to when to send the right employee surveys, how to get employees to take them, honestly, what to do with the dumpster fire when it comes back, and how to influence executives and everyone who holds the budgets to make investments and convince them that this is the best path to revenue. A lot of my content is very confidence focused, and influence and psychology is woven into everything I teach you. So I have a bunch of cheat sheets and templates of all kinds to persuade your way to a bigger salary and just be an advocate for yourself so that you can do the right thing at work and keep
Hmm.
yourself sane in the process and not have to read dark psychology to get your way.
Yeah, or blow all your shit up.
Yeah.
What I've recognized is your nervous system, like, that's what actually happened. You go through the identity crisis when you
Yes.
blow it up, right? Like, and I didn't recognize that as I was going through it. But that's where you can make change now using some of these techniques, these psychologically based techniques, in a way that feels a little bit more natural and a little
Hmm.
less scary.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have to blow it up. You
totally.
permission to blow it up if you need
Yes.
to.
Yes. And if it's okay, I forgot half
Yeah.
of what else I offer. So I also do public speaking. So
Great.
if an organization needs someone to come in and get everyone excited again about the work, I also do post-acquisition pep rallies to be like, what the heck was
Oh,
that? You just smashed two
yeah.
companies together and we have a lot of fun. And I also wrote a book called, what's it called? Because I just wrote it. I never stop working. You
I
probably
hear
have
that
heard
about
of it.
you.
It's called The Family Cycle Breaker. I really went deep and explained Darvo and what no contact was like for me. So if anyone's considering setting boundaries these holidays coming up or ever with your mother, the Family Cycle Breaker book is available on my website, and it's a really quick read, written just the way I talk. If you like the way I talk, you'd like the
Yeah,
book.
I love that.
It's a helpful resource that I think a lot of people are loving because they're telling me they are.
I will definitely go buy that because making the choice to go no contact is the hardest decision. It's like leaving your job. It's like leaving your multiple six-figure job and choosing what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of the hardest decision. It is not something you just wake up and go,
No.
"Oh, I'm going to do that today." It's like you have to go through so many cycles of abuse before your soul finally says, "Oh my God, I can't take anymore."
Yes. And people really judge that decision. You only get one mom, you only get one dad. I didn't go to my brother's funeral. I couldn't be around my family. He was already dead. I loved that brother. We were very close. I didn't go to his funeral because I didn't want to be around those people. I was already no contact with them. So don't let anyone ever judge.
I do think it comes down to judgment and perception, and I believe powerhouse women think that there's a certain standard that needs to be kept in order for us to maintain this false persona of success, and because of that, we're willing to settle for things much lower than the standard of what we deserve or have actually given to other people, and when we start breaking those molds, like, it does feel a little wobbly, it does feel a little wormholey, and it is all for your highest good. Like, it is all for, like, that best future version of us, and that's why I say, like, what is best for you is best for the entire universe.
Yeah.
And I will stand by that statement until the day I die because I believe that the highest timeline that we choose for ourselves in pursuit of our future self,
Yeah.
it is truly where our life, destiny, satisfaction, purpose, fulfillment, meaning, like, it all comes together so beautifully.
100%. And go find some high achieving, good quality female friends because modern society's kept us so siloed in these modern expectations of doing everything in the invisible labor. The men are having a massive ego death. We
They
need them.
are.
The
They
women are kind of
are.
ahead of everyone in this spiritual, oh my God, what have I been tolerating? So the men are kind of lagging behind. I'm going to speak in generalizations, but
Yeah.
women are having this big spiritual awakening, and I'm so proud of all of us. And the more you can find other good women to build you up and to cling to, women belong together. We do not belong in our homes alone with our husband and kids where we can't talk to anyone and we can't have community. It's just very
A
unnatural.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And my last question for you, Christy, is what is your message to powerhouse women that are going through it and looking for the other side? And,
Mhm.
like, what's the real lesson here in our conversation? If you could distill it down to a quick statement.
I think hold your ground, say
Mm.
what you mean, and believe people when they show you exactly who they are, and have no mercy when it comes to asking people to get up from your table.
Yeah. I love the Tupac analogy. I've used that a lot too, of not at my table.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I was raised in a, like, very cut people off, removing all empathy for people's humanity, essentially. And in this season of growth that I have been through, I can actually now, like, with compassion and love, be like, "You're not for me.
Mhm.
You're not for me right now." And that feels like freedom because we don't need to be holding resentment about who we're letting go of, including our corporate jobs or our corporate coworkers, like, whatever it is. There's something about that that just feels like a level of success that most people don't know because a lot of us just want to cut each other off and be like, F off, like, I'm
Right.
done with you.
Mhm. I think it
Mm.
comes with experience too. So anyone listening who's like in their 20s and they're like, "I don't have the balls to do this now." But if something feels off, you're at least feeling your intuition. That's step 1. My intuition has never been wrong. If something feels off, it's because it is. Women are so incredible with our intuition and our ability to feel the situation as it's unfolding. So just keep tuning into your intuition and trust
Yeah.
it. If you're not ready to act on it, that comes with age because you just get so fed up with people's bullshit as you get older that it gets easier,
It's
okay?
so true. It's so true. On that note, Christy, so wonderful to have you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your powerhouse story. And I look forward to having you back sometime soon because we have hours more of conversation to get through.
Where do you live? Because we need to hang out in person. We need to pull some
I know.
tarot cards and go
Yeah.
knock on the
We,
Starbucks door and be like,
we
"Open my
do.
God."
We
Yeah,
do.
thank you
We
for
do.
having me on. This was a ton of fun.
What I love about Christy's story is how unapologetically human she is. She reminds us that power isn't just about the comeback. It's about the courage to walk away, to stand your ground, and to rebuild a version of yourself that actually feels free. Because when you start choosing peace over performance and boundaries over burnout, you don't lose your edge. You find your truth. If you loved this conversation, go follow Christy at Corporate Christie on TikTok and LinkedIn. And check out her book, The Family Cycle Breaker. I've linked it below, especially if you're ready to stop repeating patterns that no longer serve you. And if today's conversation lit something up in you, come join me inside Pivot Club, where powerhouse women like you are rewriting what success, safety, and self worth look like in real time. That's also linked down in the show notes. Until next time, protect your peace, trust your power, and remember how you see your value and how you choose your own freedom is your legacy. I'll see you next week.